debris now bobbing along on the swift-flowing current, the plants he had struggled so to keep water during the dry season. There was always too much of everything. Ishwar be praised, he added quickly, when it wasn't needed. The Jamuna had irrigated his fields, but this was overdoing it. "Where be those who aid? Curses be on their names and every generation of them!" Jahid roared above the wind, waving about both hands, making the torchlight stab about the darkness. Behind him, Jamila wailed, berating her husband. "Do not wave our light about so. How am I seeing where to put my feet? If it falls from your hand, how will we be seeing where dry land is?" She had hiked up her sari, its sodden, muddy hem banging against her thin calves. He had already reprimanded her several times for her immodesty. "Hush, woman. Rafiq and Rahim have torches. Watch your sari that you do not tempt Ayud Bonda." To emphasize his displeasure in her demeanor, he lengthened his stride, sweeping the ray of light in front of him to see where he was going. This disgruntled him more, for it might appear to her that he was heeding her complaint. "How far to go now, Jahid?" Salma, Ayud Bonda's young wife, cried in ragged gasps. She had to shout above the wind noise. She was many months pregnant with her firstborn and clumsy. Ayud was half carrying her, both of them slipping about in the thick mud. Jahid didn't like Salma. As a young girl, she had been chosen from her village to go to the school to learn to read and write and do sums. Because of that, she did not efface herself as a proper woman should, speaking out often in the shomiti with unseemly disregard of custom. Ayud Bonda always indulged her, smiling and doing nothing to discipline her as a husband should. "We will be seeing shomiti light soon," Jahid said, and sent his beam ahead of them, squinting to see any glimmer from their destination. Shomiti were still built on heavy concrete pillars, thanks be to Ishwar, so their shelter remained above the flooded lands. There would be light cylinders, also of the long-life variety, hung on the corners of the covered veranda to show refugees their way through the day's darkness, wind, and rain. "Aye!" screamed his wife, sliding her length in the mud, face down. The fall both amused and irritated Jahid. Sputtering curses, he caught hold of her arm with his free hand, the arc of the light he held going every which way again. Ayud Bonda grasped her other flailing arm, and between them they managed to lift her out of the mud. Solicitously, Salma used the long end of her already sodden sari to clear Jamila's mud-smeared face, while she gasped for breath and spat out the grit in her mouth. "Aye!" Jamila screamed again, wildly pointing at the rushing water. "Something in the river!" She grabbed her husband's hand with her muddied ones and steadied the broad beam of the flashlight on what she had glimpsed when his beam was erratically flashing about. "Nothing alive," Jahid retorted, trying to wrest control of the torch from her. "I see something too," Salma said, and Jahid snarled under his breath. That was all he needed, her to side with the thin stick who was his wife. "There is something," Ayud agreed, and by then the rest of their group had caught up to them. Rafiq and Rahim added their lights to his reluctant one, and even he had to admit that there was something, a small child perhaps, clinging to the fork of two branches. Jahid was stunned. A tree of such size had to have floated down all the way from the Terai region. Even as he watched, he saw movement, a wide-open mouth and a white face, probably calling for help. Suddenly the current of the Jamuna whimsically pushed the tree closer to the levee. "Joldi!" cried Salma, pushing at Jahid. "Sahajo! Quick, help!" "Kikore! How?" Jahid demanded, one hand gesturing his helplessness while, with the other, he stubbornly followed the slowly spinning mass with his light. "Dig your feet in," Rahim cried, leaping forward. "We make a chain. Grab my hand, Rafiq. You too, Jabbar. Kalik, make a chain, Jahid. Light us." Rahim barely got a firm grip on Rafiq's hand before Jahid pushed Jabbar and Kalik into place, making himself the end of the human rescue line. He was as heavy as Rahim and could be the anchor despite the slippery mud. His wife wailed and moaned that surely they would not be in time, that they would all fall in the water and drown, and then what would become of them? Then Salma grabbed the light from Jahid's hand as he was pulled forward closer to the edge of the levee. Frantically, he dug his heels into the slippery soil, determined to stop his forward movement. Kalik also dug his feet in. Then Rahim, living up to his name of mighty soldier, caught